everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Chris, joined by my brothers Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room once more to give our take on video games and gaming related topics. And in this week's episode, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, including Valve's Steam Deck, which came out of nowhere and took the world by storm. And we're also going to be talking about a controversy of kinds that came up on the internet surrounding Psychonauts 2's invincibility toggle mode. And then we're going to catch up with each other as well, find out what we're playing at the moment, and have we got any recommendations for people and each other. But throughout all of this, we would love to hear from you guys. So if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure at any point to jump down into the comments and give your take on anything that we bring up today. And also, if you enjoy this, give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so you know when future content comes out. If you listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take to let us know all your takes on everything we bring up today. But without further ado, let's talk about some gaming stuff. That was the intro.
Oh, right. I thought it was a rehearsal for the intro.
I think I nailed it. No, well, they can always do better. Tell me, what are you guys playing at the moment? Let's catch up. Eric, what have you been
We
playing
haven't
lately?
seen each other in so long. We gotta.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since the last time we did this.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm still playing A Plague Tale: Innocence
Yeah, how far are you now?
because I am on chapter 7.
Out of?
Like
How many is there?
16?
Holy shit, yeah. I remember that game feeling longer than I expected it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just you know, we're at the moment we're in an Irish heat wave. I wouldn't say it's a heat wave for the rest of the world, but it's an Irish heat wave.
Right.
So like I'm obviously not gonna stay inside and play video games all the time, and then I always work nights, so you know I don't get
Yeah,
much time
yeah.
to actually sit down and play. But that's what I've been playing. Other than that, I watched films for the week. I watched Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw.
Instead of playing...
That is,
I don't, sorry, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's great. Is it great?
it's
In a
like
word.
just barely hitting the good crack.
Oh, okay.
And then I actually watched Detective Pikachu, which was good crack.
That is great crack.
That was
that
great
is fun.
crack. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. But Plague Tale Instance is the game I've been playing at the moment.
I was saying the other day when I was working that when we get days like this, because you're right, it's an Irish heat wave, not necessarily this is like a normal day in Spain or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was saying we should treat this the same way we treat snow days. This should be national emergency. Everything closes down. Everyone go enjoy the sun because we just don't get it enough.
No,
To,
well,
be,
I was
to be working indoors, like what the fuck?
I was working yesterday, Saturday from 11 till 6, and you
Yeah.
can imagine how fucking dead it was in cinema. Yeah, I was just saying, I was like, why don't we do a siesta like in fucking Spain? We're part of the EU. Why can't we do a siesta? Fucking.
Is that the criteria? If you're
the
part of the
criteria,
EU,
yeah.
you get a siesta.
Well, I just think we should
I think it's more of a Spanish cultural thing. Right?
And
Yeah,
but
but
Mexico.
in fairness to Spain, yes, this would be a regular day for Spain, and
Yeah.
it's not like, you know, when they be hitting like 40 degrees Celsius for their fucking, like, it's so they don't pass out.
Yeah, it's like for a genuine health
It's not so
reasons.
you can enjoy the sun. It's
No.
actually so you can not enjoy the sun.
so that you can enjoy the shade. Actually, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we fucking need that too. Like, we're dying here. We don't get
Because
fucking
we're
sunshine.
pasty-skinned people. I
Yeah.
remember being in Malta and seeing there was lots of construction going on at the time, and just seeing the guys out building, and I was like, I could not work in that heat. I love enjoying this heat. Like, I'm on holidays. This is great. I'm walking around. I'm chilling. I'm sitting there and sunbathing. But man, working in that heat, like it's times like that you'd definitely prefer the cold because
Yeah.
you will heat up, but you will not cool down.
No.
You will
Well,
not
yeah,
cool down if you're exerting yourself. That's it does the opposite. So anyway. That's my little take on the hot weather there. Ireland should close when it's hot.
Well, we are closed, aren't we? Technically.
Oh, we're
When?
fucking not. I'm there out in all black in a fucking cinema that no one goes
yeah.
to. And I'm thinking, the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah, why am I here? This is just mean. It's like, you wouldn't let me come to work when everyone wanted to go to the cinema. The fucking lockdown.
Yeah, that was like even when the girls asked us like, can we wear shorts? Or she asked me to ask the manager, could we wear shorts? And she was like, we make it seem like I'm not actually asking him. I was like, okay,
Right,
so,
right.
So I just went up and I asked him, I was like, can we wear shorts? Like, again, it's really hot. And he was like, no, health and safety reason. I was like, okay, fair enough. It's like, we're dealing with food. So I went there and told her that, and she's like, I'm not gonna be fucking having my leg up on the popcorn where we're fucking scooping the shit.
The other thing is,
That's true,
actually,
yeah,
most of the time, if you're dealing with the customers, you're behind that counter, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna see.
Nobody would even fucking know if you guys were wearing shorts.
Well, you could have a little summer outfit that makes you look like little scouts or something.
Yeah, you could if you had one of those little tie things as well.
Yeah.
And a little badge that's like shaped like a popcorn. Or now do you want it?
Yeah. Want to look like a little Boy Scout?
It's like, okay, no, I'll take the trousers. It's fine. Adam, what have you been playing?
I've also been replaying A Plague Tale.
Oh, you guys are ahead
giving
of me on
it a
that
go.
one.
I've cleared it. I've
Holy shit! Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've also just been, giving it a go and platinuming it.
nearly actually. I've got 80% of
Oh.
the trophies.
Wow.
Yeah.
How have you found it on your second playthrough with the PS5 version of the game? Because I know of the three of us, you were definitely the least impressed. This episode's kind of like a follow-up to last week's episode in a way, because some of the same topics are gonna kind of like a continuation of. We mentioned Plague Tale last week, but yeah, you weren't so pleased the first time around, huh?
Yeah, no, I think it's still the issues still stand. I'm really confused as to the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles are obviously so much more powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One. Yet they're not performing as great as I was expecting. Like A Plague Tale, for example, on both the PS5 and Series X don't play in 4K.
Right.
It's just so therefore the visuals still kind of take a little bit of a hit. Character models and everything aren't as sharp as I was expecting it to be. It is at 60 frames, but for a game like that, I would prioritize resolution over frame rate, because it's not as if you need super smooth frame rate on it. It's not a fast
No, it's a
game.
pretty slow-paced game, right?
So the 60 FPS boost wasn't that noticeable to me, because I think the game is quite slow. Loading is certainly a lot better, so that's a lot more enjoyable. You can just keep going through it. You're not waiting ages for the next level to load up. I did. It made me more excited for the sequel. I'm looking forward to that sequel. I think they're going to make huge improvements, because I do find the gameplay is not that great with it, but it's just the story, the sound, the score is just incredible to it. It's a very unique game. So I think the sequel is where they're going to really elevate and take this somewhere else going forward. But yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed by this new remaster, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah, I've yet to jump into it again myself. I always did find that the combat was not very fun.
Yeah.
More particularly when in the non-stealth scenarios where they are directly running at you. And if you happen to miss with the sling, you're dead, because there's not enough time to reload before they get you. Yeah. So it's like you got every hit has to land or you're dead. And then and the checkpoints were kind of annoying. I think I remember you'd go back a certain point and you're like, fuck me, I don't even want to do this again.
Yeah.
I loved the first game, absolutely loved it. But I watched someone else play the last fight because I'd always get to the last phase of it, die. I did that about 10 times and I went, fuck this. I am so close to the end. I don't even give a shit anymore. I just want to see the fucking cutscene after this old bastard dies. So I was like, fuck this. So hopefully that's vague enough. or is that just the biggest spoiler ever? I don't know.
A vague tale.
A vague tale, not so innocent. But I love the game. I do love the game, and I do hope that in the sequel, then that combat feels a little bit more fluid. You know, they built up Amicia's character to do a lot more by the end of it. That I feel like in the second one, maybe she needs to be a bit more
great,
able.
I think
She's a great character
as a protagonist, and I think she has the potential of becoming one of these really legendary female video game characters.
Yeah,
Like up there with Aloy and Lara, if they handle her really well in the second one.
yeah. I think I was blown away by the first one so much because I wasn't expecting anything.
Okay.
Right, and then I think maybe like I hadn't even heard the hype around it. I'd seen the cover of it, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look like it's for me, to be honest. Whenever I saw the cover, I kind of thought, because it was called A Plague Tale, and I thought it was sort of a Telltale style game, kind of a thing. Right. And then I saw some really good reviews for it, and it was on sale, I believe, in a January sale, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, why don't I try it out? Someone called it a masterpiece. How can it be that good? I was just expecting this little indie game.
Yeah.
So it all took me completely by surprise. I was expecting shit graphics, so that's why I was like, the graphics are amazing.
Yeah,
I was
for
expecting terrible graphics.
Proprietary game engine, that's really, really impressive. Like to have that many. Maybe that's why the resolution is so low on the consoles, is because the amount of rats. Like that must be like really heavy on the CPU.
Yeah, there's a lot of rats.
But I'm still surprised that it's not like 4K.
Right.
Yeah. That's one thing I do like about it, is that, well, it's not realistic, but in the idea that like the amount of, like, it's a sea of rats, like it's very over the top, almost like you reading a story, and it's like that's how the author would have described it. You know what I mean? There was just a sea of rats and stuff, or there was when you're doing chapter 5 and you have to go through that battlefield.
I love
that.
That's
great.
That's great. I think
like that. The description of it would have been like mountains of bodies. So then they take it to that example of there's these fucking mountains of loads of bodies and corpses. And it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, trying to tread through the bodies, I think, is like really. And have you noticed, Eric, on the controller with the, not that they utilize haptic feedback or the adaptive triggers in, or is that what they're called, adaptive triggers?
Yeah.
In like, it's not like insane. It's not Astrobot, but they do enhance.
Oh,
it
it is there.
Bit.
It is there.
A little bit. So you can actually kind of feel, especially in the trigger, for example, you can feel a little bit of vibration, as though it's like they're breathing or their heart rate or something like that in it.
Wow.
And you know, you can feel the rats around you in through the haptic, just a little bit. It's not like,
but it adds to it, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it certainly gives it that extra bit that I didn't have when I was playing it on the Xbox, and it's certainly it's, I suppose, kind of a better experience that way.
Yeah, I still think it's one of the more harrowing games I've ever played. Just for 4 scenes like that where you're trudging through bodies and bodies and bodies, and it's so like everything's filthy and dirty and and I remember there's like, isn't there a scene where you're going through a tunnel and the tunnel is literally made of like,
I love that. That's like Stranger Things.
I love it. Yeah, it's amazing, but I wasn't expecting it, and I suppose when I was going through the first time, I was like, this is horrible. What the fuck? Like, what are these rats doing?
Yeah, because I think that's
cool.
that's chapter 3, just after you went into town, and there was all like the crazy people who like to stop the plague started just burning anyone and everyone. Yeah, I saw you and just thought, oh well, you must have the plague too.
And it gets worse again once you get back to when you revisit your home. You're looking for your mother's secret lab or something like that, and it's even worse then again with the tunnels and just the you can see the bodies being made. It's a bit like Alien Xenomorph in that way.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to see what way the sequel goes, because obviously in the game the rats are afraid of light. They only come out at night. But in the trailer, it's daytime and all the rats are coming out.
Oh, I wonder if they're like evolving or adapting or something. Maybe that's going to be, so it's going to be like, okay, you need new ways of dealing with rats now because they've gone past the threshold of what
And
people were
perhaps
using to
they're
deal with them.
no longer listening to Hugo or something.
Yeah. Or Hugo's gone nuts. I don't know. We'll have to.
Hugo's gone nuts.
Hugo's gone nuts. Once Eric has finished it, and once I get around to finishing it, we'll have to do a dedicated episode to Plague Tale, I think, and then we can do speculation on the sequel, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think, it's a good enough game. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of themes and interesting stuff to
Yeah, I think
take
like
apart in it.
it's on. At the moment it's PS Plus and it's on Game Pass, and if you have either of those two subscriptions, it's absolutely worth trying, giving it a go. It's very slow paced and stuff, but the overall, I think the aesthetic, the tone, the time period, it's a really, really intriguing game.
I would say that if in the last year you're one of the people who really enjoyed the experience, not the story, right? I don't want anyone to kind of get me wrong here. The experience of The Last of Us Part 2, I think you will love this game. In terms of it being real harrowing and in dark.
I wouldn't say
and
it's
no
like
sunshine, no
that.
happiness.
Because there are moments
no.
of happiness in Plague Tale Innocence, I think.
small moments that maybe equate to like that museum sequence, right? Like maybe.
Yeah, the
But no.
start.
Yeah, but they're a little
the
bit
very,
more frequent, though, I think.
The very start of the
So,
game, and that's it.
No, like
yeah,
before you get to the battlefield, for example, there's Hugo's little kind of innocence with the frogs and stuff like that, and after that, it's getting to the castle and finding your like a new home for yourselves, and there's the picking up the flowers. There's lots of little beautiful moments throughout the game that really makes the thing worthwhile, makes the struggle worthwhile, which I think is what Last of Us 2 missing.
Right. Well, maybe the struggle is all that's stuck in my head. Then.
Maybe.
it's so dark.
But as a game, it actually
dark.
reminds me a little bit more like The Order 1886. I don't know, Eric, if you agree with that. In terms of the kind of the kind of focus on high fidelity, very linear story, not great gameplay, but an intriguing environment,
Concept
intriguing like kind of world and lore. You'd almost swear they were made by the same people to some degree.
There's
Yeah.
a similar look, I think, in the color tone and graphics.
Yeah.
Not saying one is better looking than the other, but like there is a similar. Like I do get that. There's a similar vibe in how the games look. I
Yeah.
think.
I would love a sequel to The Order.
Same.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't even
Another-
care what it would come out on. Just fucking make it.
Yeah, bring it out on the Steam Deck. Give me a reason to get the Steam Deck.
and we'll get there. Give it that would be your reason. Are you kidding? Right. Oh, we get there. Okay. So if you've played A Plague Tale Innocence, let us know what you think of it. And if you've yet to play it, definitely recommend trying it out. Recommend the experience, especially if you have PS Plus and it's available to you, or if you have Game Pass. Like if it's there, you might as well give it a go. I will say the game is probably not for everyone, so maybe it's not a go straight out and buy it thing.
No, but if it's on
Give it
one
a-
of those two,
But if it's on one of those, definitely give it a try. It's a very particular type of game. There's no multiplayer fun aspect to it.
one interesting thing about the upgrade, actually, I'm not 100% sure why this is. It's smaller on the PS5. It's like 30 something gigabytes, but it's 40 something gigabytes on the Xbox.
Why would that be?
And
Are they able to just kind of compress it better?
it either has something to do. My guess would be that on the PS5's SSD is much faster, that it's able to load in assets quicker, that there'd be less duplication of objects. Because often in games, if you have like a barrel and then down the road there's another barrel, if they can't load that in quick enough, generally what they do is they just duplicate the file, so they'll just have two barrels for that particular level. Whereas with the PS5, we just need the one barrel because it's able to load it in quicker that many times. So it's either that, or it's the Xbox version actually has a 120 frames mode that the PS5 version doesn't.
Okay.
So perhaps that 120 frames mode
Yeah.
is just a larger
That
file or
sounds-
something like that.
That sounds likely. That sounds like it could be it.
Yeah, I don't see why a locked frame rate would increase the size of the file really,
Yeah.
but
But it's the most
it's
obvious
interesting. I think
difference.
it's interesting how
Yeah.
The two are that is a difference between the two.
Yeah. So I've been playing during the week a game called It Takes Two.
What's
Which
that
I
like?
decided to pick up and try out. Because I tell you what, there's plenty of games that I'm in the middle playing and wanting to play and all this stuff, but they're all single player kind of serious experiences. And to be honest, I was just dying to play something couch co-op
Yeah.
with Ash so that we can play games and hang out at the same time. And it's not a case of it's like, you know, because sometimes she's fucking bored looking at me playing a game, and then or sometimes I'm like, no, you know what, you put on whatever you want, you know, because you know it's not fair if I'm hogging the telly all the time.
Right.
So this way, I was looking for something like that's why we always love the Lego games because it's just they're fun couch co-op. It's not serious. It's just a bit of fun, and this is very much like a Lego game, in that you can't really die. Really, if you die, you spawn back to your partner, or at least to where maybe you need to be on the map. The tone of the game is strange and all over the place. Like it's weird, and some of it's very cringy. The cutscenes are quite cringy.
Okay.
But to be honest, that's why it's so like a Lego game. So are the Lego games. They're cringy too, and you just go, yeah, who cares? I skip. Just play the game. But the actual gameplay is a lot of fun. Really, really fun. And the game, there's a free. So the game version I got, it's you can download a PS4 and PS5 version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also download a free friend pass, which you can just, so from my understanding,
yeah.
you can give to a friend who doesn't have the game.
Yeah, so a
So
friend
they can
can
play the
join
game
you.
with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as you're
Um,
playing it, they can
yeah.
play. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The other fun thing about it is it has to be multiplayer.
Oh,
There is no
there
single player at all. You either have to play local, which is couch co-op, or online. But you cannot play the game on your own. And
Cool.
it absolutely depends on the two people working together. And I think the fun dynamic about it is the game is about a couple, these parents who are looking to get a divorce. And then through some means they're put into this scenario where they are forced to work together in order to get back to their original bodies. And in doing so, they have to do all these little challenges where they actually have to face certain things that actually annoyed each other about each other that they were putting off. Things like
That's
I
funny.
thought you were going to fix the Hoover months ago, and now they have to fix the Hoover together, and the Hoover turns into like a boss fight, and it's, you know, it's weird and silly, but it's a bit of fun, and it's kind of an interesting concept that it's like, you know, as the two players have to, and it's not only that you have to work together, you have to communicate. We actually found ourselves arguing as we were trying to do it. It's like, no,
That's funny.
right. It's like, no, you if I hit this thing, you have to jump on that before I do this. And they're like, no. You have to do this first, and then you're talking.
It's like
out
by the
exactly what
end,
you're
by
doing.
the end of it, when you complete the game, the story of the characters is they find out that they don't want a divorce in the end, that they want to stay together, but the players playing end up splitting.
This is why we haven't finished the game. No, I don't. But yeah, so we played a bit of that, and it's a bit of fun. You know, it's nothing serious. It's
And
just,
is there consequence then? Because in Lego, I know you're saying like, you know, there's not much consequence if you die in it, but you do lose coins and bits that you've like, so you can't get the 100%.
Yeah, no, there's no consequence of that nature. It's really just that the puzzles are more challenging than a Lego game.
Okay.
But there's no real consequence. And then when it comes to boss fights, if you both die, like if you die in a boss fight, you actually have to tap triangle real quick or whatever to get yourself back to life. But if you are both dead before any of you come back, you have to start the whole boss fight all over again.
Okay, that's
but it's still not, you know, that's still pretty forgiving. Like it's not a thing of like,
yep.
game over, you got to do the whole chapter all over again. So it's wacky.
I think that's what
it's a
do you
weird,
think the game was
wacky game.
designed around that whole concept of like having possibly a primarily gamer person who has a partner that's not really into games, but allows them to do something together?
Possibly. I think there is a genuine, or has been a cry out for couch co-op, because while this game has online multiplayer,
Yeah.
I imagine that can be fun, but I can't imagine that's as fun as playing in the same room. I really can't.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine. Him and his girlfriend were playing that, and yeah, they were saying that they argued a lot.
Argue like cats and dogs.
Is
But, like, it's
Operation
fun-
Tango, because that's another one obviously that requires second player. Is that
Yeah,
local
yeah.
co-op as well? Have you tried?
I think it can be, but it's recommended not because you can look at the other screen. Whereas
Yeah.
in
You'd have to do
that's the
that
difference.
old. You need to do that old trick, you know, the one where you tape the blanket
Yeah,
on one
yeah,
side
yeah.
and just put it between you.
You see, that's the difference at this game. You do have to look at the other person's screen.
Oh, it is split screen. It's not
Sometimes.
like you're sharing the screen.
Oh, it's split screen. It's not only split screen, and this is again why I think it's built for couch co-op more so. If you play online multiplayer, it's also split screen
Oh, that's weird.
because you do have to be able to see what the other person is looking at to solve some of the puzzles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's a bit weird.
But that would be distracting multiplayer, I imagine. Whereas when you're on the couch, you know, and you're both talking about the same thing, you know, you're looking at it together, you're experiencing it at the same time. It's, you know,
Yeah.
so it's fun. If it's available on Game Pass, it might be. I don't know, but if it is, it probably is through the EA Play thing. It's an EA game, so
Maybe.
might be
I
worth
didn't
giving it a
notice
go.
it now.
And it was 40 quid to buy, and that only
Oh, that's
came
not
out
too
this
bad.
year, so it wasn't too
And
bad.
it's oh yeah, you were saying it is a PS5 version as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's much enhancements to that, to be honest. Like, I don't really. Like, I'm
no,
not,
it's not on Game
I'm not
Pass.
sensing any haptic feedbacks or anything like that. But yeah, it's a bunch of fun. But then I went down a rabbit hole this week that I'd like to talk very briefly about. That I don't want to like give anything away of. I went down the Doki Doki Literature Club
What?
rabbit hole. Right? So this thing was this game came out like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was free, totally free on Steam, and it's now come to consoles in a version called Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. It's a real anime game,
Okay.
and there's always a content warning. It says this game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed.
Okay.
Anyone who has played it knows, and anyone who hasn't will not know. You won't know,
Why?
and you won't understand. So I didn't play it myself because I was like, I really don't see the appeal. But it was at
Oh, I see. I was
It was
I was
actually,
confused because I just looked it up there and I see what you mean. But here's me thinking it was something
Just
to
the
do
artwork.
with
Yeah.
yeah. Here's me
But don't
thinking
look further than that.
I won't. But there is a
No.
game called Doki Doki Universe. Have you ever heard of
Right.
that one?
No, I haven't heard of that
It
one.
was like a Vita game, and that's what was in my head when you're talking about this. I thought it was like just another version of this, but which is a very innocent kind of puzzle game, and it's not anything like the Literature Club yoke.
Wait,
So I'm wondering why they have
are
the
you
same
aware
name.
of what Literature Club is?
Well, just by kind of searching it there, I kind of have a
It gave you a quick gist there, did it?
yeah. I think
Like
so.
right, there was a trailer for it at one of the conferences during E3, and you see, I'd heard about it first from a bunch of I work with a lot of young people, and a lot of young people had been talking about it before, and they were like recommending it to me because they knew I was into games, and I was like, that does not sound like it's for me. They were describing it as this anime dating simulator, essentially, and I was like,
There was
no.
there used to be a lot of those.
yeah, and it's a response to those, I believe. It was the white guy made it, and then in the when it came up in the trailer, and people were excited for it, I was like, why is the thing about this game? And I said the #1 psychological horror experience. I was like, what? How could this possibly be scary? So I watched someone stream it, and I said, I'm going to see a little bit of it and see what the hell this thing is. And I ended up watching pretty much all of the stream. And all I can say, Pagan should 100% stream this game.
Okay.
Should 100% stream it and should stick with it. Stick through all the cringe. It should absolutely stick with it. And if anyone hasn't checked out Pagan Plays, please do, on Twitch, on YouTube. She's also on the Replayer podcast. So check all that out. And she's been in an awesome thing where she's been raising funds for able gamers, and that's a really, really, really awesome charity to help uh, people with disabilities get more accessibility to playing games, essentially. So there's a great, and we'll put a link to that in the description on YouTube and also in the description on the audio platforms. But do check that out. Please support that. That'd be great. But do check out Pagan Streams as well. But I'm going to recommend that out there. Tell her not to look it up or anything, but tell her to stream it.
I have looked it up.
I'm curious, Eric.
I am on the images. I am not seeing any horror. I am just seeing.
They're very clever. I must say, the people who share this stuff, they're very, very clever to like. Yeah, right. You're
Cool.
wondering now. You're like, how could this possibly?
But I'm just wondering, like, okay, the two of you right now look up Doki Doki Universe.
Okay, I'm gonna look
Right?
at Doki Doki Universe.
Which was
World, do it with us.
which was a Vita game,
Right.
and here's me thinking it's like a sequel to that, and I'm like, well, why is it sharing the same name? What's Doki Doki exactly?
Right, so Doki Doki, I had to look man, I'm telling you, I've been in a rabbit hole. Right?
Okay.
I've looked up the creator, I've looked up everything about this fucking game. Doki Doki is a Japanese onomatopoeic phrase for like heartbeat, and it's used for when your heart is racing because you're in love,
Okay.
or when it's racing because of intense fear.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And the entire artwork throughout the entire game is
Okay.
that Japanese anime bubbly the entire time.
So there's no connection.
I don't think so. I think maybe Doki Doki Universe came first, and maybe when this guy saw that, maybe he was like, "Oh, that's a cool name actually for this idea that I have." Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because it was always going to be. But the guy who I see Doki Doki Universe.
Very different.
It's nothing like that. But the guy Dan Salvato is the guy who made this literature game, and he just asked for donations at the beginning. He said, "If people like this, please donate because it'll help me out." But he wrote it, he did all the music to it, and then he made it through some app that helped him kind of put it together quite easily. And then he just had two other artists help him with the actual artwork. But other than that, he did everything himself.
Okay.
And he hates anime. Or it's not that he hates anime. He was like, he just doesn't understand the huge appeal for this particular brand of anime, which was like cutesy girls doing cutesy things.
Gotcha.
And then he came up with this idea, and this was like his response to that.
And what's the? Is it on Steam then, or?
It's on Steam, but it's also, because there's a Plus version now, it has come to all the consoles. It's come to PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo.
Adam is going to go down the same rabbit hole.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, what would be
I would warn if people are
10 out of
planning
10 on Steam.
Yeah,
162,420 votes is 10 out of 10 on Steam. Wow.
Man,
Okay.
I'm not fucking joking yet. Like, I would love to talk about
Overwhelming.
what it actually is.
Okay.
But
I'm just trying to see
Pagan
what
should
would be the.
fucking 100% stream it.
Oh, so it's a tenner. No, wait, it's not a tenner. It's free?
It's free on Steam. The guy put it
Wow.
for free.
Okay.
He just
Well, there
accepts
we go.
donations for it. But, and even reviewers say this. They'll tell you about the game, right?
Right.
They'll say, you gotta stick through the cringe. Is that it is really cringy for like hours,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And that's all part of it. And they're like, and as they're explaining to you, like, if this sounds like something you hate, then I'm right there with you. It's like, I fucking hate it too. It's like, if you hate the idea of 4 very typical anime girls in a literature club, and you're trying to like write poems
Okay.
to get the attention of whichever one you'd like to date. If that sounds like a shit game, you're right. But you have to stick with it. That's all they say.
That sounds like a brave game to make.
Yeah,
Unless it was like unless it's a Trojan horse kind of a thing, where it's like a big middle
Yeah,
finger
you
to
see-
the type of people who wanted a game like that.
it is. That's the thing. But unfortunately, if you look it up at all, everything does say that it's kind of what it is.
Right.
And also at the beginning of the game, they have to put in a content warning. And they said it's not suitable for children. And it said if you're easily disturbed, I do not recommend you play this game.
I'm imagining that this game becomes like some fucking misery looking thing or something.
Oh, the movie Misery, or even the book, like Stephen King's Misery. Or what are you talking
Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I'm like talking about. Like, because if you're trying to woo one of these four girls with poems,
about? Right.
do the others then get like? Because obviously, when I look at the images, all it is just those four girls.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're
That's
gonna
it.
have to play it, Eric, and we have to find out for
Oh,
ourselves.
yeah.
I don't know if I want that.
I know you should.
I mean, it's
you really
free
should.
on Steam on both
Yeah.
Windows and Mac, actually.
You
So
should. You really should. I'm kind of raging now. I didn't play it. That's the only thing. I'm like, it's ruined on me.
okay,
I should have played it. I really should have just sat down and actually just
I'm gonna
believed
give it a
the
go.
reviews and fucking.
is
played
it long? Like,
I think it can be. I think it just depends on.
well, how long was the stream that you watched?
Oh, that was 7 hours altogether. But
Wow,
they were doing a lot of
you really stuck
interacting-
through that, huh?
I did some skipping because I was like,
Okay.
where's this going to go? But ultimately, when it got really interesting, I saw all of that onwards.
Okay,
You know, so I was like, yeah, okay.
fair play to him sending you out for free. Like the DLC on it is 10 quid, so maybe he's just relying on that for funds, but.
Possibly. I think it blew up a lot more than he was expecting. This guy, he makes like previously he had made like levels on like the Super Mario game where you could like make public levels.
Oh, Mario
Try 'em
Maker?
out. Yeah. And like he was kind of famous for that, but he's not really a game developer. He just did it as a bit of a hobby.
That's
So
pretty cool.
Cool.
it's all really interesting. And I would love to talk about
Maybe we should
the
all.
ending with you guys.
Well, yeah, we should probably.
I think
play it.
yeah, we should
should
get
play
it.
it, and then we should discuss it then.
Yeah,
once
we
we've
should.
cleared it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We 100% should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just Monica. Okay. Everyone knows. Okay. So check it out, world. Actually, just don't tell if you get Pagan to stream it. Don't tell her it's a horror game. But tell her it's amazing. Tell her it's 10 out of 10. You gotta play it.
Well, if she listens to this, then
Yeah. Are you listening, Pagan? Okay. Well, play it then.
yeah.
Okay. Moving on to our next topic. This Psychonauts 2 thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, you would kind of I don't know, I must be in a slightly different echo chamber because I hadn't seen anything about this until you brought it up, and then Adam, and then I kind of went looking for it to see what's the hullabaloo all about. What's everyone giving out about? What's the problem?
Well, this is actually tied in with this. It kind of goes on. It got tied into a controversy that's been happening for a while on, let's say, Twitter, gaming Twitter.
Okay.
So yeah, Psychonauts 2 is including an invincibility mode
Yeah.
for, well, obviously to allow more people accessibility for the game.
Right.
So this is not necessarily controversy over Psychonauts 2 doing that, but it comes into the whole making games easier for more people to play kind of a thing, right? So the part of the able gamers kind of conversation is tied in with that a little bit.
Okay.
But and I don't know anyone who would contradict that or say that shouldn't happen, because obviously
Right.
the more people who can play games, the better for the industry, better for people as well. The controversy kind of comes into reviewers reviewing the game but only playing it on said modes.
Right.
Can you
So-
trust their review?
Right. Okay. Because the mode is there.
Well, the mode is there, but the mode's not there for
Yeah.
them technically. When you think about it, right? It's supposed to be for more. It's more accessibility for people who, because even like with easy mode, for example, like Jedi Fallen Order on easy, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an easy game still.
You're probably
easy.
not supposed to play it on that mode if you're reviewing it, right?
You should probably play it on the normal to
Hmm.
get a good understanding of like the balance and mechanics and the things like that. That's I imagine, but even for some gamers with disability, the easiest mode is still not accessible enough.
Right.
So that's where this kind of invincibility style mode comes into it to allow gamers to be able to, you know,
And so
enjoy the
far, this is
experience,
only
enjoy
on Psychonauts 2, right? They're not saying like, oh, this is going to be on all games now.
No, yeah,
That's
I
not
don't know.
what
There
they're
might be other games. I think Psychonauts 2 at the moment is
It was in
the
Control.
headline.
Oh, it was in Control as well?
Well, the one I got was like the Ultimate Edition. I found about halfway through the game. I was like going through settings or something. Because I was like, Jesus, this fucking game.
Yeah, I imagine a few games probably do have it.
And Control had a mode where it had a little setting where you could reduce the amount of damage you could take. You could turn on one shots, and I did it for the second half of the game, and then I was actually able to enjoy playing the game because it was fucking hard.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, okay, so why is anyone mad about this? I don't really.
I think it's because it comes back into the whole, like, because I've seen then in response you have a lot of the figureheads of gaming saying it doesn't matter what difficulty you play games on, as long as you play a game you're still a gamer and all this kind of stuff, right? That's true, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% true.
Yeah, 'cause I seen another one where I think it was the actual company for Psychonauts who tweeted it saying, if you beat the game,
You beat the game.
you beat the game.
I think that was Xbox who tweeted that one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, they must have tweeted something else then. And yeah, people were not happy about that sentence.
And I think it comes back to there's a few games like Cuphead, for example, and even the Soulsborne style games that have received negative reviews from some reviewers because the games weren't accessible to them.
Right.
And that's, I think, where people are getting a little bit defensive. Like, I don't like the Dark Souls games. I don't like Bloodborne or anything like that. I don't like them because they are pretty difficult. It's not my type of game, right? But I don't want them to go and make those games easier just for me so I can enjoy them. Because that just defeats the purpose of what that game is. You're taking away its soul. It's like, I don't like. I even if you made that game easier, I don't think I'm gonna love it.
As they did there, Adam.
Yeah,
take away the soul.
So I think the outrage, I think, is for is more towards game reviewers, or not necessarily established game reviewers wanting to get more into reviewing games and stuff like that. Because I don't know about you, but I've come across a lot of articles claiming to be game reviews, and it's like a paragraph or something like that, and they just use kind of clickbaity headlines just to get you in on it. I wouldn't go as far as calling it true journalism.
No. We got this covered.com. You ever hear them guys? Fucking don't ever fucking believe a word that comes out of them.
So it's like, I think it's everyone deserves to be a gamer, so these game modes should exist. Not everyone deserves to be a game journalist.
No.
And I think that's where it's like, I think the controversy is about like whether or not a game reviewer, they should specify the difficulty in which they've completed the game in, so that their review has context.
And that could happen. But the other, I mean, I've heard people actually, they've brought up the Soulsborne games.
Well, it's mostly about the Soulsborne games, I think.
And I'm like, guys, this is Psychonauts 2. Chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
No one is talking about adding an invincibility toggle in Soulsborne games, and that is not going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen. Are you kidding me? Their whole sales point is,
we're really hard.
Difficult fucking games, you better get good. That's their whole thing.
But I think, like if enough people cried about it, though, you're telling me From Software wouldn't?
But even if they did, right?
Yeah.
What are you worried about as an individual person out there who wants to play it on the hardest difficulty? Go play it on the hardest difficulty, and fucking let someone else play it on whatever difficulty they fucking want. And if you're worried about reviewers, no one watches one review and says, "Yep, that's for me." Check out lots of people's reviews, and different other people will have played it on a range of games, and see what things add up and what things don't. You know, if you want them to do their research, you should also do your own research too, right? You should never just put all your eggs in one basket. That's 100% true. Any game that comes out, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I check out a review, I check out like all of the reviews to to see how they're stacking up. I remember when Resi Village came out, and you know everyone had similar things to say about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so these are the things that must be true about the game. And then I got it and I was like, yeah, those things were true about the game. I don't know. I just think I think the outcry over this game having it is a bit nuts, because this game looks like it is supposed to appeal to everyone and anyone, and especially to like families and kids and stuff. So this is like giving out about Lego games being too easy and going, now they're going to make Dark Souls hard. Like, are you kidding me?
I was just about to bring up Lego, like, because of the fact that the only thing you lose are the coins, but when you respawn, you can collect all the coins again that drop out of you.
Yeah,
you know
most of them anyway. Yeah.
And you also have like 4 healths and stuff like that. So like the Lego games have somewhat an invincibility mode,
possibly,
and it takes 2, as you just mentioned.
But what I thought was interesting was as part of the discussion, then I've seen people say, yeah, no problem. Make invincibility modes, make God modes in games so people can play them, but disable trophies and achievements.
Right. Okay.
And it's like, see, that's why I think there's no right answer to this discussion. That's why I think makes this really, really interesting problem, because if you say, okay, make an invincibility mode, but achievements cannot be unlocked, because then therefore people who are achievement hunters could just, you know, wipe the whole play clean. It kind of gets rid of the challenge of collecting trophies and things like that. But you're now saying that disabled players who cannot play it on any other difficulty but God mode are restricted from getting achievements or trophies.
Right. I don't want to.
It's such a nuanced.
This might come off wrong or rude, and I don't want it to. But in most games, there is an element of trophies for everyone, right? Those are the ones where if you reach a certain point in the game, you get a trophy. It doesn't matter what fucking difficulty you're on. Those trophies should not be in any way taken away from any mode.
No.
Right?
No.
But to platinum pretty much any game, at some point you have to play on the hardest difficulty.
I know, but I think like what's interesting about that is that does cut off a lot of disabled gamers.
That cuts off a lot of gamers. Jay, that cuts me off. Are you kidding me? Like, the other thing is, right? Yeah, at some point you just have to make a decision. It's like, what's more important? That more people can play the game, or that more people can platinum the game?
Yeah.
It's more important that more people can play the game. Platinuming is your own little self-achievement thing. It's like, you want an invisible trophy? Good luck. Go get your invisible trophy. Guys, it's not real. But, like, actually being able to experience the game that people made, that's way more important, I feel, than it's like, should we just close off people, or should we hand out trophies easy? You know, like, at some point, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what people lose their tits over. But I do agree with some of the criticism surrounding the journalism side of things. Just because, not that I have a problem with like journalists playing it on the easiest difficulty, but they're kind of using it as a shortcut to get their review out quicker. And there's like these other journalists. You could tell the difference from their writing as well, who would put in the hours and really like get into the nuances of the game mechanics, play it on the like what would be the normal difficulty, possibly even the hardest one, just to get that, or even try a multiple. And they specify which difficulty they played it on as well, and they're never necessarily the first to get out there, but they're certainly the highest quality. But it's these clickbaity, like wannabe game journalists who try to get their review out the door as quick as they can. It would be a shame to see more games to have these type of modes that those journalists would try to take advantage of. I think.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
People could actually abuse something that's there for a good reason.
Yeah, and it's like, as well. Like, how does this translate to multiplayer? Like, I know this is just Psychonauts, but the reason people are having a problem with it, I think, is because of the domino effect that it could have across the game industry.
Yeah, if other games are like, "Oh, that was a good idea. We should do that too." Right?
Yeah, Because I mean, The Last of Us Part 2, for example, had incredible accessibility features. I think Uncharted 4 did too.
Yeah.
Like blind players were able to play Last of Us Part 2 and everything. It's really incredible what they managed to achieve with it in terms of accessibility. But how does that translate into multiplayer, for example? Because obviously you would want more disabled players to be able to experience multiplayer games, but if other players started playing like on easier modes just to be able to abuse it and take advantage of it being easier, that would be very unfortunate. It could end up being quite toxic in some aspects.
Right. Yeah. Well, I suppose any good thing can be abused, and then in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to making decisions for consumers, I would imagine, I'm no expert, I would imagine though, you have to weigh up the pros and cons, and if the pros weigh out the cons, then ultimately that's the right decision. I did see a lot of people giving out like, oh, you know, they're trying to turn gaming into fucking bitch modes, you know, like stop with the fucking bravado, man, you know, like cut that shit out. Like what, like this, they're not talking about like, oh, so then people will be able to use this in like esports tournaments against you or something like that, right? That's not, no one's talking about that. They're talking about, hey, we want everyone to experience the game, so if you're finding it hard, you can toggle this to get you through it.
Like I'd expect, or you know, I'm actually expecting the next God of War to have something similar.
Do you know what? It might, and if it does,
I think it will, and
why not?
Yeah, it's more of a story-driven experience anyway, so it's not, you know, who cares?
I think they should only really apply this to a game that is story-driven.
Well, it just depends on the game. Like, I mean,
yeah, is there any need to put it in like a Call of Duty or Mortal Kombat? No, of course not. You know what I mean? Because that defeats the purpose of those
there's
games.
no need to put it into a From Software style game. Like Bloodborne doesn't need like a really easy mode on it, because that's the point of it. If you took away its difficulty, then what kind of a game is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The point of a narrative-driven game is to experience the narrative.
Yeah.
And so the more accessibility to that there is, and then great, someone wants to up the challenge for themselves, up that fucking challenge. You want to go hardest difficulty, you do that.
Yeah.
But if someone just wants to see what the buzz around this story is all about, like, what a shame it would be if The Last of Us, for example, the first Last of Us, had only the hardest difficulty mode, and there was plenty of people who just wouldn't play it because it's too hard for them to play, right?
Yeah.
What a shame that would be. It's one of the greatest stories told in any medium, and a huge portion of the population miss out on it. Like, is that necessary? As opposed to like, the more options that there are, the better. It suits more people. Like, why would anyone want to limit that in the grand scheme? So I was kind of puzzled.
It's a strange bit of gatekeeping.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? You don't like metal music the way I like metal music, so you're not really a metal fan or something. I was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, those are just our little takes on the Psychonauts 2 invincibility mode toggle and what it might mean going forward in terms of reviews and also in terms of like accessibility. Maybe other people have other takes on it. I think so, but maybe you'll have a different take on it, or maybe you agree, and maybe you want to add further reasons as to why you agree. I don't know. So if you have any thoughts on it yourselves, make sure to jump down into the comments on YouTube or to touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. And again, let us know your take on all this. But then moving on from Psychonauts 2, our next topic. Oh, Valve, you sneaky bastards. In this way, this is really the follow-up to our last episode. Our last episode, the Switch OLED was one of the main focuses of it. And we talked about how it might have been a missed opportunity. And then, like, just around the corner, boom! Valve announced the Steam Deck. And, I might be just voicing how I feel about it here. I don't know how you guys feel about it yet. But, Eric, what's your take on Valve's Steam Deck?
Watched the video this morning.
Yeah.
And holy fucking shit.
Right? What the hell?
Yeah.
Why would you get a Switch?
I don't know.
Well, apart from the exclusives. Apart from the exclusives,
or
if that's
apart
your
from
thing.
that, you already have the Switch. But like, there's no reason. Yeah, not really to get a Nintendo Switch like
Yeah.
the OLED one, because the fucking Steam Deck does the same thing. You put it on a dock and then it loads up to your fucking monitor and you can play it on a keyboard, and then that save file can go straight to the fucking Steam Deck. You take that up and you keep playing it. And you got the analog sticks, you got touch pads, you got the expert gaming triggers at the bottom, you got these other triggers, you got the touch screen as well. You have the entire Steam collection there.
Yeah, but then as
With an
well,
asterisk.
because it does, yeah, with an asterisk, because it does what a PC does. You can mod. You can fucking like Game Pass is available on PC, right?
Yep.
Threw a spanner in the works for me. I was like, I'm planning on getting an Xbox Series X this Christmas, and then this thing comes out. I'm like,
I can make your mind up very quickly.
Oh, can you?
I can.
Oh, and I don't know which way this is gonna go. Adam is definitely the techier of the three of us. In case anyone
Well, I
hasn't
have
noticed before,
many
he's
questions
100%.
regarding this the Steam Deck. Uh,
But no excitement.
no, I'm very cautious about this thing.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I'm
the
I'm,
spatter
I'm,
into
I'm
my
interested
works.
in the concept of it. I'm interested in what other manufacturers might do, because I don't think Steam are going to be Valve rather are going to be the only ones with this type of product. I think others will have other products. I think the potential of an Xbox portable is now possible. I think Nintendo need to get their fucking shit together.
Yeah, I would be like, of all of them, like I think all of them could go, oh shit, that's a crazy announcement. But I do think Nintendo should be the ones really like, fuck, we need to come up with something right now.
Yeah.
But what else were you saying about it?
Well, if we take the baseline, which is what I think most people we want to go for, it's like 100 or 50 quid. Is it 50 quid more expensive than a Switch OLED? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
64 gigabytes.
64 gigabytes, right?
Yeah.
So 64 gigabytes. This thing doesn't run Windows. It runs SteamOS, which is a version of Linux. I
Yeah.
don't know how many of the Steam library games are actually going to run on it. I imagine they're doing some form of emulation to try and get the games, because most Steam games are Windows based.
Right.
Now a lot of games are developed now across the three platforms: Windows, Linux, and Mac. So all those games will work perfectly fine. I don't know if Skyrim would work, for example, or games similar to that, which would be Windows only.
Can we go an episode without mentioning Skyrim?
Yeah, but you're
That's my example. That's my main example.
you're allowed to get rid of SteamOS and download Windows.
Correct. You're allowed to do that. You can bootleg
Yeah, you can customize it whatever you want.
Windows into it, so that way you could get the Game Pass and shit like that, right? It comes with 64 gigabytes is the baseline.
Yeah.
We know we have a PS5, we have 800 and something gigabytes, and only 600 gigabytes of that is actually usable on a 64 gigabyte machine. Good luck installing Windows on that.
Oh, I would say, do not, if you're planning on buying the Steam Deck, do not buy the base version.
Right. So
Do not.
then it's okay. Do I get the base version or do I get the one up from that? So that's 500 and something, isn't it, for the 256 gigabyte model? So is 256 even enough? You know, now we're getting into Series X territory.
You have to get the most expensive one.
Okay,
If
so
you're
now
getting
it's
this at all.
600 and something,
Yeah.
right? So the APU in this, which is the Ryzen, similar to the one that's in the Series X, PS5 and the Series S consoles, it's that AMD processor. However, the graphical capability of it is the equivalent of an Xbox One. So the future potential of it, so far it looks like it's going to be able to play games that are out at the moment really, really well. But the longevity of that, what is the longevity of that? What will new games play on this? Obviously, it's going to play games better than the current Switch does.
Yeah.
But And the dock, for example, doesn't come with it. That's a separate thing. That's an
that's not
additional
actually
purchase.
officially announced yet. They've
Yeah.
said there will be a dock, but it's not actually. You can't get a dock this holiday season.
Yeah.
When they're
So
releasing this.
when the price, given all that into account, the price of this thing, I mean, if you're really to deck this thing out, you could probably buy an Xbox and a PlayStation for the price of this thing, or you could get a decent laptop that could play games. Because and obviously this thing is portable, but it's heavy. It's big. It's heavy. It's
it's
way
really heavy.
bigger than the Switch. It's a lot heavier than the Switch. So how portable is it? In terms of battery life, they were demonstrating you can get about 4 hours of battery life with Portal 2. Portal 2 is not that much of a demanding game. I want to know what's the battery life running Red Dead 2 or something like that on it. Realistically, what's the battery life of this thing?
Or Death Stranding, because it can play Death Stranding.
You can play Death Stranding. So yeah, what is
Doom Eternal?
What is the battery life realistically with this thing? How much do I have to turn the brightness all the way down? How low the settings do I need to go? What resolution do I need to play it on just to be able to squeeze battery out of this thing? So I think the current hype for it is probably it's probably a lot of hype because of the Switch announcement.
Probably.
Yes.
If that Switch OLED model wasn't announced, I don't think the hype for this thing would be as big. And I do think those are the types of questions I want answered that we won't have yet until the thing is announced or released and the reviewers actually get their hands on it. Realistically,
and they won't be able to toggle that invincibility.
Yeah, they won't have
mode
the
on this.
invincibility mode.
Will they be able to? Like, will it actually be able to give you that kind of gaming experience? As good as the Switch, for example. Like the thing is with the Switch is that although the games don't perform ultimately that great on it, the battery is actually pretty good on it because the games aren't that demanding. But with this thing, like it's saying, you can get your entire Steam library. Again, I'm questioning whether that's possible because it's Linux. And they're also the way they've made this machine is that they're actually wanting to encourage other manufacturers to do something similar. Because all Steam care about, or Valve cares about, is being able to sell games on their Steam store.
Well, then there you see. You've got the perfect handheld machine for playing Doki Doki Literature Club. You can play it anywhere on the go.
Could do.
Take it everywhere with you. No, I think everything you're saying is fair, and actually, like my genuine when I bring all that stuff up, like my initial thoughts, because I'm pretty sure I messages, I went, holy fuck,
yeah,
because when they started like plugging it into the monitor and stuff, I was like, wait, so it's a portable fucking PC? Are you fucking kidding? Because that's the first thing everyone's thinking, right? They don't stop and do this kind of, wait a minute, what does it mean if I do that? What does that mean? They just go, holy shit, the possibilities are endless. Like, the console war is over. You can take your PC anywhere with you now. Like, what the fuck? This is it. This is the end. Yeah, the more you go into it, because like I did say there earlier that I was like, oh, should I still get an Xbox Series X this Christmas with this thing coming out if I could get Game Pass on it? No, I have come to the decision that I still want to get the Xbox Series X because for those very same reasons. I would want to see what this thing is actually like when it's out. I would not. Yeah. I'm not in a rush to get this thing, but I do think it's fucking cool, and I do think it's cooler than the announcement of the Switch OLED. And I think you're right. There's probably a lot of extra hype because of the timing of this. I do think there would have been hype there either way though, because I do think people who fucking love Steam, put Steam on anything and they're just like, oh, that's the best thing now. I have a friend who asked me, it's like, with Steam, like, why would you bother get it? It was just before it got the PS5. I'd said I'd pre-ordered. I was looking forward to it, and he was like, with Steam though, like, why would you bother get a PS5? Why would you want to pay full price for games anymore? I was like, well, first of all, you know me at all, man. I still buy CDs. Wow. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
But also, I was like, the fucking artists, man. That's like fucking. You only listen to Spotify and you don't fucking go to the concerts. But anyway,
no, that's it's almost more like you rent the movies rather than going to the cinema.
Yeah. It's like that actually a bit. But also,
or no, you don't rent
like,
the movies. You just torrent the movies. And
yeah,
Steam does not have the console exclusives. which for me
No, it doesn't.
are usually not always, but usually the best gaming experiences that come out every year. For me, for the kind of games that I look for,
And on
the kind
top
gaming
of that
experiences
too,
I'm into.
like,
Constantly
I kind of know
updates.
from experience that like take Tomb Raider for example, right? Tomb Raider, the 2013 one,
Yeah.
which is on Windows and it's on Mac, right? Or even Arkham Asylum, it's on Windows and Mac. And if I boot that up on my Mac and try play it, it's okay. It doesn't run that great. It plays, it's passable. On the same Mac, I boot up Windows and play the exact same game. It performs way better. It's the
What's
exact
that
same
about?
hardware. We see Windows has a long time legacy of like having these like DirectX, for example. It just has better technology to get the most out of its hardware for playing games, right?
Okay.
The likes of the Mac, for example, has been very slow at doing that. They're doing it, but it's very slow at doing that. And Linux similarly has a thing called, I think it's called Proton, which is similar again. It's very slow in trying to get the most out of the hardware to get the best improvements for its games. That's why when you look at the likes of the Switch, for example, versus similar, because there were Android devices that have similar hardware to the Switch that could game at the time, but none of them could play games as good as the Switch because Nintendo built in this technology to get the most out of the hardware. They gave that to the developers, and the developers were able to optimize their games. If this thing is running on SteamOS, the underlying technologies of Linux is still not as good as Windows to play games. So your Windows-based games are not going to run as good on this thing, and specifically, like the performance of it is just nowhere near a PC or modern consoles anyway. So I think this thing is going to absolutely rock at doing those type of indie games, the likes of Stardew Valley and things like that, right? It's going to be killer for those type of things. And as long as you go in with the mindset similar to the Switch has been phenomenal for the indie style games, not great for the likes of Witcher 3, etc. If you go in with the mindset of saying that this is a better version of playing those types of games than the Switch, I think you'll be very happy. But if you go in expecting Cyberpunk, like,
You will get Cyberpunk.
I think you'll be setting yourself up for fucking failure. Like,
Yeah. Sorry,
You'll
just
get-
when you said that, because I'm thinking about the hype that was leading up to Cyberpunk
yeah, and the
the
kind of
actual-
disaster of it.
and the disaster. Not in any way saying that this is going to be a disaster. I don't think it is. I actually think it's going to do quite well.
Yeah,
I
like,
think
I
what's
mean,
nearly-
maybe, obviously, all my questioning is just based on I've been burned in the past by being an early adopter for shit, so I'm just really skeptical and stuff like that. But obviously could be proven completely wrong here, and hopefully it's the greatest thing that ever known to man, and it changes gaming, and that's great. But I do think people just need to manage expectations, and I don't think you need to run out and get this thing. Just wait for the reviews, see what they say, and make your decision then.
I suppose people are dying to reserve their copies though as well, right? Because there's going to be such a if they're worried about they wait for the reviews. That's the whole thing about when a new thing is coming. It's like, if I wait for the reviews, there'll be none left. If I don't wait for the reviews, I'm gambling on whether or not this thing is going to be what I actually want it to be.
I mean, people have already reserved it. It's Valve, it's Steam.
It's after
they have a fan
they
base.
crashed the Steam website.
I've seen loads of people, like I was listening to a Kind of Funny Games cast, and Greg Miller was reserving it while he was on talking. Like he was in the queue and he was kind of doing an update at the same time.
Yeah, and those are the kind of people who should get it.
Because they're going to be, they actually are going to be, even though he wouldn't be a games journalist.
I know he is.
Well, he is, but
Like,
he's
that's
not
his
exclusively
background, you see.
that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, he will be reviewing these things.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do. And actually, people like that, I always find, are trusted sources, because on a weekly basis, they're talking about gaming all the time, and they do play games all the time. They are gamers, at the very heart of it all. They're not just looking to like get
No,
the
yeah.
headline, you know. Remember, this is the guy that said the game makes you feel like Batman. He know, like he
He knows what he's talking about.
knows what he's talking
This
about. He
game
was
will.
right.
This
He was
this
right.
console will make
This
you feel like
console-
Steam.
Yeah. I do. I am curious though as to what this will mean for what other stuff is going to come out, and other players stepping into the field with their own products and stuff. And I do wonder, are Nintendo now like fuck with the
Yeah, like they're not
like are
one
they
for.
like is anyone going to buy the Nintendo Switch OLED? You know what I mean? Or do they even want to sell it? I don't like. I actually there was someone who works for Nintendo. What's his name? I saw the tweet and he literally said, you know, it's not better than the one you already have. So you know, if you already have one, don't trade it in. He works for Nintendo. I was like, surely you'd be trying your best to say, no, this is the definitive Switch experience.
Well, I guess
you know what I mean.
they're-
I know
they're-
you don't want to false advertise, but
Yeah, I think as well there's the issue of like the fact that Sony and stuff are getting absolutely hammered by people. The fact that they can't get a unit. He's probably just trying to, you know, make sure that it's people who don't have a Switch get it, as opposed to people who already have it that are buying up units that people who don't have it really, really want it.
and maybe he's doing a bit of what you were saying there and managing expectations too, where it's like, listen, this is not like some crazy brand new console. It's a variation of a console that's already out. So like, don't go thinking it's like, oh, I need to get like that's then. It's not the Switch 2 or something like that. It's not that. It's
Yeah.
actually just.
I think
a
it's really
variation.
interesting that Valve went with that type of CPU in it, the AMD one, and didn't go with an ARM chip or something like that. Something that was a little bit more efficient on battery,
Right.
lower powered. Maybe it's because of compatibility reasons. Maybe the software, like games, aren't made for ARM, so therefore, in order to increase compatibility, they have to go with the x86 processor. But the thing is just, it's huge, it's heavy.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah. And as well, one thing I would say, like, I think it's a pretty cool design in general, but I actually don't like the look, and you won't know till you hold something like this in your hands anyway. I don't like the look of the placement of the analog sticks.
Yeah,
joysticks.
see, the
quite
guy I watched reviewing
that.
it, he said that he didn't like that at first, but then when you hold it, it actually does
Get used to
work.
it maybe quickly, do you?
Yeah, he got used to it quickly, and he was saying that when you are holding it, it does feel right
Okay.
for
okay.
that particular controller, like that console. And because he would be used to the D-pads being, or the analog sticks being down.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
saying that it didn't work.
It's just that looked slightly off-putting to me, but and yeah, it's pretty heavy. Like I don't know. I think the other thing is
Well, I mean,
with these handheld devices, right?
Yeah.
This is why this one is slightly more interesting to me. Like I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. The bit where I went, holy shit, was when you connected it to a monitor. Right now, obviously, the more you think about it, there are other questions to bring up about that, and really, yeah, it is worth waiting to see how it performs that way realistically. But in the first place, the reason that surprised me so much was because I was like, I feel like that is going to perform and could look better than the Switch dock station does, right? On your TV.
Yeah.
And I don't commute all that much. I really don't. So the handheld side of it is not the thing to sell me on personally as a consumer. Like for a lot of people, that's going to work. If you're traveling a lot, then it's great to be able to take the games you love with you that your fucking mobile phone definitely can't run. You're not playing Death Stranding on your mobile phone, right? But if you're not traveling anywhere, I don't see myself going around the house with that thing when I could put it on a monitor or on a TV or something. I just don't see myself doing that. So
Yeah.
to be honest, the handheld thing is really cool. It's a great sales pitch in general, but for me personally, that's never going to be the thing that actually ultimately makes me want to buy it, even though I appreciate the design. But it's that accessibility thing that we were talking about earlier on, because now people have the option of playing it either on screen or taking it with them, and that's cool. I'm into
Yeah.
the options. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that the size of it is because I find even the Switch is a bit big sometimes.
Yeah.
That you have to obviously bring it around in a backpack or something like that. Like it's
Yeah, like,
it's
you're
a
not putting it in your
laptop
fucking
bag
pocket,
essentially.
like.
So it's just these portable devices are just getting so massive.
Next, it's gonna be a TV. Just to bring
But
a
like
TV
the
around
other
with
thing
it.
is, yeah. So, but if it was smaller, like, do you really want to experience these huge? I think you're right. They're really for the indie games, because do you want to experience a blockbuster game on a small screen? Like, if they made it in such a way where this was like you could actually carry it around, it's much smaller, right? Like phone sized or something like that. You can bring it around with you. Do you want to experience like a big blockbuster game that way? I don't. I don't know if people do really. But those little indie games or those kind of little strategy games and things like that, perfect. Perfect for this kind of thing. But I don't know about the big AAA kind of game. Like, I don't know. Breath of the Wild portable. I don't know. I don't. I don't think that's the way most people will be playing it. I think they will actually put it up on the big screen.
Well, it's hard to tell. Like, I mean, I've seen a couple of polls around, because a lot of the argument around the Switch even is that most people play it handheld as opposed to docked, which is why they made the Switch Lite, which is a handheld only. But actually, yeah, the gap is not as big as we would imagine. Most people do play handheld, but it's not significant enough to say that people don't play docked also.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
still within the, like, docked would be low 50s, handheld
Yeah,
would be
right.
high 50%.
The bullshit coming out of Adam is fucking really affecting me.
Well, actually, I think Adam's on the ball, and I
Oh,
think
he is on the ball. I'm joking.
You
I'm
tried to
joking.
make a little funny about your little sneeze, and now I'm going to make a show of you.
I think you said that before, didn't you, Adam? That the gap between the handheld and dock
I?
wasn't
Yeah, that's
that
much.
big.
Yeah, I believe so. And so, I suppose what's interesting about that is because if it was highly one way or the other, Nintendo might decide for their next project. It's like, oh well, that's our direction then. Like, why would we continue this docking thing if everyone is just playing handheld or vice versa? Whereas if it's like, oh, okay, we'll continue down this road then, because it's clearly, it's more balanced than maybe we expected. Even if it is leaning more towards one than the other, it's still much more balanced. And I actually think the more people playing handheld thing is actually, for the most part, kids in the houses, the parents are using the TV, so they get the Switch, put the headphones on, and then they play.
Possibly.
I think for the most part that's probably what it is. Not that there's not also people who are traveling or they maybe genuinely prefer it that way, but
Yeah.
I think that's why it could lean that little bit way more, because like I know plenty of parents who just like go on, go play the Switch, and they watch the TV. So that does happen. So that like brings up, I imagine, a lot of the numbers as well. But yeah, so the Steam Deck, is it a day one purchase for anybody here? Adam, it's a no. Eric, it's a no. For me, it's a no as well. More interested to see what this does in the future, and more interested to see how this thing performs. I think it's cool and exciting, but
yeah, I think for people who have built up a Steam library, like a massive one over the years, this is probably incredibly exciting for them.
Yeah.
But as someone who would, like, I have 5 games in my Steam library. Those 5 games, like Shogun 2, for example, I wouldn't want to play Shogun 2 on this thing. It's not there's not much of an incentive for me to pick this thing up. And yeah, I am, skeptical about how this thing performs in battery and the weight of it, the size of it, the comfort of it, everything. The whole thing has questions.
People will be able to hear more of your skepticism on the Replayer podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, we discussed the Steam Deck on this week's Replayer podcast. Comes out Wednesday.
Excellent. So if you're listening to this before Wednesday, be sure to keep an eye out for the Replayer podcast when it comes out this week, featuring Adam and also Pagan, who we mentioned earlier on, because Pagan is on the Replayer podcast all the time. She's one of the hosts. But if you're listening to this after Wednesday, then you need to go back and go check it out. Replayer Podcast. Check it out either on audio platforms or on YouTube. They also release weekly episodes, and it's another awesome podcast that talks about gaming. And the Replayers are a really, really, really cool community. And we said earlier on, guys, you gotta check out Pagan Plays on Twitch and on YouTube, and just check out the Replayer Podcast, okay? But also check us out. So guys, if you have enjoyed our discussions today on the Steam Deck and on everything else that we talked about, do jump down into the comments, let us know, and also show us some love by giving this video a thumbs up, hitting subscribe, and clicking that notification bell. All you audiophiles out there who would listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take. Give us a follow, give us a message, let us know your take on the Steam Deck, let us know your take on accessibility features in gaming, and also what are you playing at the moment? Have you guys played Doki Doki Literature Club?
Looking forward to that.
How the fuck did you guys find it? Okay, thank you very much for listening, everybody. We'll be back to talk to you guys about more stuff next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.